Good afternoon, everybody. Wee Paddy from across the shop, and this is sort of think out loud video. I'm not even sure what I'm going to call the title, but it's something like, "Where do I go from here?" I don't know whether I'm just COVID down or I've got a cold at the minute. My poor wife broke her ribs last week. We had a right miserable sort of couple of weeks, and I don't know whether that's the reason. I don't do a lot of down videos, but I'm, I don't know where to go in the channel. I've done quite a lot of slip joints recently because that was my passion. I was having a real run at them. And I'm not going to make apologies for that because as much as I do this channel for you and the feedback, a lot of it is for me. I just love knives. And my wave at the minute has been slip joints. But I wanted to make a video today. Somebody, and it was a nice comment. There was nothing wrong. He says, "Right, Paddy, come on. I want to see some flippers. I want to see some, thumb studs. I'm aboard of the slip joints." And that's absolutely fine because this channel has always been about both things. I have got a wee bit waylaid along that line. But I sat in front of my box and I had a whack load of knives out here. And I thought, right, okay, what can I make as a video? I don't have any new knives at the minute to show. I haven't bought any yet, but I've been buying the traditional ones, and most of them's been GEC, so they're quite expensive. So I haven't been buying any others, and I threw a lot of knives on the table and said, well, what do I need, or what do I think out there is good enough? What can I replace? That's probably a better look. I'm thinking out loud. I've picked 7 knives to put down here because they fitted inside the square. That's it. And these are in just different price ranges. And they're knives that I've bought because I like. And the main thing is, these are knives that I've kept because I like them. And when you buy something and you're a knife collector and you like something, I find them very hard to get rid of. So I have box loads of knives that most of them I can find a reason to keep them. I know this is hoarder sort of sentiment, but I can find a reason to keep them because they are good. They just work. Out of all them 7 knives there, if Sally came in behind me and said, "Stephen, a couple of bits of cardboard boxes there, would you cut them up for me?" There's 7 knives which will do the job admirably. Either one of them will do that job admirably. But which one will I take out of that 7 to do the job? And in all honesty, I'll take my best knife that I enjoy the most. It's it's a £600 knife. Is it a cardboard cutter? No, not really, but it's a knife and it cuts. And that's the one I'll pick because it cuts lovely through cardboard, cuts lovely through anything. This is my Herman from Polish Custom Knives. Herman Sting. It's just, oh, it is just, and even just to get it out and let it drop, I just get so much pleasure. That noise and it's just unbelievable as a knife. So I'll probably use that knife. But if she says, "I've got a couple of dirty old boxes there, it's full of tape, but it's full of that when you come and cut them up," I'll take my Sabenza because this is my work knife. Sabenza means work, so this is my work knife. I love this. It's only a small Sabenza, but I use this for everything. This is probably one of my most used knives. And the thing about it is, all these are drop points, and I've picked drop points specifically because it's to let you see that how many is enough in drop points. When do I stop? When do I say, right, I need to buy another drop point? Do I have to get rid of the ones that I got and bought because I like them for some other new model? And when I say new model, right, I'm going to be a bit boring here. I've nothing against Chinese knives and I buy them and love them. There's nothing wrong with them. But in my head, there's just a complete overload at the minute of Chinese knives that do you know what I mean? All right, you can make it a wee bit crazier handle. You can do a wee bit, but a drop point to me is a knife for work. So when I get a knife that works, I don't want to get rid of it. What's the point? There's the bug out, probably the most popular knife. Now, it's light, it's brilliant to throw in a pair of jeans or whatever, but I've stopped really using it as such. It's still a wonderful knife in the summer. I'll use that more. It's a drop point. It cuts just like any of these. The blade steels are all different from M390 to D2, 440C. You know, they're all different blade steels. There's a Civivi, this is the Elementum, one of the best little knives about there, at a really economical price. This is a great knife. It's a hollow grind, slices wonderfully. But then so's the Ferrum Forge Gent, and I'm getting S35VN, so I'm getting longevity in my cutting. So, and go down to the most basic at all. This is a Ganzo, you know, $20 odd. This is an amazing knife in D2. An amazing knife. Absolutely just a great knife to use. Here's a Boker. Now this one's a slip joint, but you know, it's got a thumb stud for deployment. 440C. Cuts as good as any of these. It's nice behind the edge. It's a hollow grind. Really nice behind the edge. It doesn't last as long. But I'm not going to go in to that kitchen when Sally says, will you cut up a couple of boxes? It's not going to take me 3 hours. 440C is going to do anything like that. Strap back in the box. There it goes. I enjoy doing both things, cutting them up, stopping them back, putting it back in the box. So when is enough and when do you start selling to get something else? And I am at the point now where I always said I was a collector and a reviewer, and I'm now finding myself, I'm a wee bit more on the collecting side, because, you know, look at that box of collectible knives. That's all collectible knives I have bought in the last 2 years. You know, they're GEC, Shatton Morgan, nice brands of knives. And I absolutely love them. And I'm using them more and more, you know, this last 6 months, a year. But, you know, I like using them with another knife. So I haven't gone off knives. I just haven't bought any because I can't afford to keep up with all these new knives coming out. I'm not with any companies in a minute, because I find myself, when I go with a company, I end up getting tied up and having to, you know, buy what they've got. And most of the time, after the first couple of knives that I pick, I'm struggling to pick knives, but you have to because you're with them. And I just don't want to do that anymore. So these knives down here are all the drop points I would ever need. And are they all the drop points that I have? Absolutely not. Do you know, let's get away. Look, there's the big Rat. Now this is in the Oz 8, which I absolutely love. You know, a huge big knife, great big work knife. Again, if Sally asks me to go in, what am I going to pick? I'll pick this one because it's so beautiful. It's just made to perfection, and to me it has to be used. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time having it in my collection. And why do I keep this? There's probably less reason to keep this than that. But if somebody wants me to recommend a knife, I'll recommend you that. If you're just starting about, that is an absolutely thriller of a knife. Great action. You know, it's D2. I've never had any trouble with rust, I have to say, with my knives, although I'm not living in a rusty area. But that is a great knife for somebody starting. It looks good, it's stylish, and it does the job. You know, it's thin enough behind the edge that it'll do all your EDC work. This Ferrum Forge is just a beautiful, now it's a little knife. You can sneak up on it, and it gives you that full 4 fingers. Beautiful little knife, S35VN, cuts a little dream, and there's nothing bad I can say about it. It's a great light knife to put in your pocket, such as this. I mean, the novelty with this was, it was under 2 ounces. And all said and done, that novelty's it's a bit boring now. This is a great knife, don't get me wrong. An amazing knife. But the lightness, that novelty of it being under 2 ounces is sort of going. Because when I know I can go in here and pick one of my, I'll just pick one of the first knives. This is a big GEC. Well, it's not big, but it's a fair size. I can go in and pick this big knife out here. And to be honest with you, with a cheap old carbon steel, you know, I can use that. There's not that much difference in blade size. You know, there is a difference, there's no doubt about it. But this is incredibly thinly ground for a big knife, and I have more pleasure using this than this now at the moment. Now, maybe that's just part of my journey. Maybe that's where I'm going to end up going, where I'm going to end up, the channel is going to be more and more slip joints and less um, locking knives or fixed knives. I don't know. I mean, I've now last year now I got the Piat. That was a great little knife and absolutely lovely. Another little drop point, easy to use. Not much. You could grab that if you wanted to, but it's a nice little knife, lovely little knife, and I can't get rid of it because I think it's such a good quality knife for very little money. Here's one I've had for years. Look at that. I can't even remember what this was called. This is the big Reich P105Q 14C28N. I have had this for, there's a great name for it, and the Fang. They call this the Fang. Look at that for a drop point. Look at that compared to my big Herman knife. I mean, that is a big knife and a big blade. Super knife, but it was only about 50 quid or something. It wasn't over expensive. Look at that G10, contoured handles. I mean, this was a few years ago, and look at the drop on that. So these new knives that are coming out, there's a big knife like that. I'm not going to get any better of an action on any of these newer knives. The steel is absolutely fine. It's not thin behind the edge, but it'll cut anything I want because it's not a huge blade stock. It'll do whatever I want. I can't get rid of it because it's such a lovely big knife. It had a really unusual clip that nobody really liked, but I did. You know, it was deep carry. It had a bit of colour in it. People didn't really like that in their pockets. I did. But I have got tons of knives that will do any cutting job. So what are you going to do? Do I go back? Would you like me to go back and go through some of the knives that I haven't shown on the channel for a while, like my Ganzos? There's the wee Bokers, the Civivis that first came out, because the Vivis, you know, the Elementum, when it first came out, and still selling now, every time they get them in, they nearly sell out, because it's a blooming good knife. It's a neutral handle, great grip, you can sneak up if you want to, blade steel's absolutely fine, beautiful thin hollow grind, a great little work knife for a reason. So would you like me to go back and do maybe things on maybe the different blade shapes, much like I do with the traditionals? You know, I'll have my spear points, my clip points. Would you like a little series of knives that I bought over this last 4 years and maybe lay them out like this and go through them individually? Maybe not a full review, but why I bought them and why I still like them and why I haven't found a replacement. And if you think that one of them could be replaced, maybe that could be the task, that I could buy a replacement along the lines of what you would like taken out of the batch and something new put in. And to me, whether it's, you know, do that or I just go over them for your perusal. For those of you maybe not around, I've been doing this for 4 years now. Isn't that scary? 4 years. If you would like me just to recap of some of the knives that I bought from the beginning, and I've older Ganzos than this in 440C, which are amazing knives. And I've still kept quite a few of them because they're just good. And now you can buy these knives in the secondary market cheaper than when they were out. I mean, I would say that the likes of that Gent, you can probably get cheaper. Now, Civivi, secondary market, I don't know, I think they're still holding their price. But I know there's other knives there. You can buy second-hand ones of these. I mean, I got this second-hand, this Chris Reeves. Now, it's been well and truly, it was well and truly used before I got it. It's covered in snail tails. It's just a working knife. An expensive working knife, but it is expensive for a reason. It's good. It's solid. I have no complaints about it. And I would pay the money again and more for it. So what I want is a wee bit of help. Would you like me to go through some of the older knives I've got in my collection, compare them to, you know, do I compare these two together, this Civivi against the Benchmade Bug Out? Is that a good comparison? To me, the blades there's not much difference in them in size, probably thinner behind the edge here. The lightweight, I don't know, does the weight matter? You know, will a couple of grams or a couple of, you know, an ounce make a difference to your decision now when you're buying a knife? When I bought this, it was all for the weight. That's why I got it. It was like in the rush, let's buy it all for the weight. And it, you know, there's no doubt it is light, but I can pick lighter knives. Now, I think after it's been a while, you start to realize you don't need, you know, I don't need a full 3-inch blade for everyday use. I just, I just don't. I mean, letting. I'm just thinking what I had in my carry today. I'm carrying today my Hinderer. This is a slip joint. This is the Hinderer Slippy, and 20 CV thumb knob on the top of it. It is an amazing knife. It's about 300 quid's worth of knife, or just over 300. I can carry it back here and I can carry it up there. It's a slip joint, but that's not the point. It's a lovely drop point. It's just a nice knife to use. I love this knife. And for everyday use, I quite happily carry that in my pocket. And I'll have a slip joint, which I haven't even picked today yet, because I've been sitting here trying to think of a video on, am I talking nonsense? What am I, that's my daily carry there for today. So would you like me to go back and do some of my older knives? Because I don't want to keep buying, the next Civivi, the next Chinese brand. They're bringing out KGRB, or I don't even know the names of them, and they're all just doing the same thing. And if I want to, they're doing these fancy clip. You don't have to be fancy. Let me just show you. I have a, no, I haven't even got it. I can't get it out at the minute because the stand's in front of it. But I mean, I have lovely clip points. If you want a clip point, tell me you'll get nicer than that. I mean, again, it's a full-size knife, full-size blade. There's it against the Chris Reeves. It makes the Chris Reeves look small. Beautiful clip point. Now, just happens to be a slip joint. And that is the truth of it. It just happens to be. But it's a beautiful, beautiful knife to work with. And a different blade shape. So, I mean, you can get... This is a lion steel. And this is not a cheap knife either. But it is beautiful. It's beautifully made. Do I transfer buying... when I bought this, it's about 140 quid, 150 quid. What do I do? Do I buy other clip points in CRJB to save me using this? Again, I'm completely lost. So, I have drop points, and there's a real steel drop point. It's non-locking. I have a stack of non-locking knives that I can use. I have Spyderco non-locking knives. So, I could have put a lot of knives down there, but I haven't, because I am unsure what to do. Do you want to see some of the older knives? Shall I do some reviews? Maybe put 4 knives down, different price ranges, from knives that I bought years ago, and do small reviews on them. Why I bought them, why I still like them, why I think you should go out and buy them if you can get them. And to be honest with you, this is a dear enough hobby. If you can get something in the second-hand market that's good, that you're going to recommend to your subscribers, why not do it? Just because it's 2 years old or 3 years old, it's all of a sudden a bad knife. I mean, that's what the knife makers want you to believe, that this next model is the best in the world. This will solve all your problems. And they don't. They just give you another knife that cuts. In all honesty, that is it. But having a selection of different knives, I'm thinking of going, well, look, I've got enough. I do not need to buy any more drop points, because I have plenty of them. I can sell a stack and still have plenty of them. Maybe I need to look at clip points. Maybe I look at Wharncliffes, and maybe start to buy the knives that I haven't got a lot of. I have a few of most, but is that something you like to see? Some of my older knives, the Wharncliffes, or maybe modern ones that I don't show too often. I don't know. Help. Tell me what you would like to see, because I don't have the money to buy a lot of knives at the minute, because I'm investing in my little collection. But I don't want to lose my subscribers who like, this sort of knife collection, which I do. I mean, that's the best knife I'll ever have, in my opinion. Apart from one that I'm getting made for me by a amazing young custom maker, which will be, because it's going to be handmade by him, I know him, and I know how he's making them, in his front room, basically, with next to no tools. And well, you've seen one of his knives on my channel. Let's say he's made a better version of that one, and he's in the process of, I'm going to get one of his knives. That will be my favourite knife. Then it's certainly followed by the ones that I've had from other people that have been donated to the channel and donated to me. So there you go. I'm lost. I'm having a meltdown in COVID. I don't know where to go. I'm not sure what you want to see. Um, Give us a bit of help. Tell me what sort of videos you would like to see where I'm not necessarily having to buy more of this just factory feed of knives. It just seems to be bombarding the place at the minute. I'm not going to do that. One, I can't afford it. Two, I don't need it. But three is there's nothing replacing what I've got. They're not coming out with anything. Yes, you can get the different blade steels. Do I need Maximate? No. I would like one, but I'm just not paying that money for a Maximate when, M390, S35V and S30V, any of these steels do my daily work, and I'm just Mr. Joe Average. I'm probably less than Mr. Joe Average, or I do less than Mr. Joe Average, as my wife would so kindly say. So, give us a bit of help. Look, maybe this is just the lockdown effect having, I don't know. But I don't have the money to buy all this new flood of knives, CRJB. They're coming out with their own blade steels. It's as good as VG10. I don't want something. Don't come out with something that's as good as VG10. Make it better. I just don't get it. You've got a powder steel that's being made for a brand, a powdered steel, which is supposed to be a superior steel, and you're making a steel that's just about as good, Pete was doing the review on it, as good as VG10. Well, what's the point? I have no idea what the point of that is. Why invest all that money in that? Take £10 off your knife. I don't get it. So I'm not going to follow the trend anymore. God, that was a hell of a rant. Sorry. It's all right. Hands up. Ranting. So give it a hat. Look, I'm still as keen as mustard in these knives. I think the fact that I haven't been able to buy a whole lot has sort of put me off doing reviews because I've nothing new to show you. Whereas in my slip joints, I have nice new ones that I can show, and I've got that excitement. Yes, recently I've had these. Recently, this couple of knives here, this is only a couple of years, and if I had one knife that was in a price bracket that you have to save to buy and would have it for the rest of my life, this is it. This little hinderer, it's not the one with the bearings and all the fancy bits, but it's a slip joint. There's nothing can go wrong with this, basically. Nothing that can go wrong with this. It will just keep working and working with 20 CV. It'll just keep going. That's still probably a knife I would recommend, or the Chris Reeve. But they're knives that you have to save for, unless you've got means. But if you haven't, there's knives that I've got here that if you go on the secondary market and buy them now, they're every bit as good. Like, it's still a flipping good knife. It's the Rat 1. It is an amazing work knife. And we all have it for a reason. Just good knives. That big right there, the fang. It is so comfortable in hand. To work with, it's amazing. Again, it's not super thin, but it'll do anything I want to do. So, maybe that's what you would like to see. Maybe, I don't know, do you get cheesed off with this flood of knives? And what do you buy? What do you not buy? It's beating me at the minute. Look, Paddy's away. It's Sunday. I'm having a rant. Happy Sunday. And take care. Just take care. There'll be videos of some sort. But if you could give me some sort of hint on what you would like, I'm more than happy to listen to it. Right. What's the usual? Cup of tea time. Smoke on my little puffer. Go and watch to see if Ireland got hammered. I can't even watch the rugby today. That's how that's how my spirits are today. Take care, folks. All the very best. Paddy's gone. Thank you now. Bye.